Both Super Mario Galaxy 1 and Super Mario Galaxy 2 have been re-released for the Nintendo Switch 1 and 2. These titles are some of my favorite video games of all time, and I personally believe that Super Mario Galaxy 2 is the best 3D Mario. So to celebrate their return, I'm gonna make tons of ranking videos about these games. Today, I'm gonna rank all the bosses from Super Mario Galaxy 1 and place them on a tier list as we go. If you enjoyed this kind of content, then consider subscribing and liking this video. But before we start, I have two things I want to mention. Some of these bosses have rematches. Some are very similar, but others are pretty distinct from each other. The ones that stand out differently will be ranked separately. For example, Dino Piranha and Fury Dino Piranha are quite different from each other, so they both get their own spots. But the two Kamela fights aren't as distinct from each other, so they'll be grouped together. Secondly, there are spoilers for this game. I know that sounds really weird for me to say, but there's definitely a big group of people who've never played these Galaxy games, and this just might be their first time. Alright, let's get started. I find it odd that this is even classified as a boss. The only real difference between this and the regular enemy is that there's a baby on top, and the baby doesn't even do anything. I guess the bug gets angry, but that's about it. You just have to stomp on it twice, not even 3 times, and then that's it. Yeah, D tier. So this boss has multiple fights, and I was gonna group them all together, but they are fairly different from each other because one uses the bee mushroom and the other uses the spring mushroom. Except this one, there's no power-ups utilized. I don't understand how this third fight is just way easier than the other two. He launches water bubbles that deal no damage, and he's very easy to beat. Another D tier. This boss tries to use the ice flower in a creative way, but it doesn't quite pull it off. You have to create icicle platforms over the water and wall jump your way to the boss. Dodge the pushback attack, which is really easy to do, then spin jump to remove its ice, and finish it off with a kick. It's a very basic and easy boss. Now, I don't mind easy bosses at the beginning of the game, but this is like really late in the game, so it's kind of weird that you're fighting this boss this late. But it does rank a bit higher since it does incorporate the power up, even if it's not that well. High D tier. Now we're getting into bosses that have some interesting aspects. So Undergrunt is inside this tall tower, and you need the spring mushroom to reach to the top and stomp on Undergrunt 3 times. Undergrunt number 3 was just too simple and dull, while this one offers some challenge. But I've ranked it lower than the first Undergrunt fight because the spring mushroom can be really frustrating to use. Like, just look at me struggling to grab the star. The boss isn't super original, but I appreciate how it uses the spring mushroom. C tier. Pretty much the same explanation as Undergrunt number 2. The boss isn't really memorable, but the difference here is that you use the bee mushroom, which is just a much better power up than the spring. I like how you have to ground pound the switch button to raise the platforms, so another C tier. I'm ranking both of its fights together because, as I mentioned earlier, some of these fights aren't very different. This is another like short mini boss fight, I guess. You simply push Top Maniac into the electric barriers. It's very easy, but the gimmick of pushing the boss is quite neat. It's not just a simple hit 3 times kind of boss. It has a bit of strategy to it. Not a ton, it's still like really easy, and like the boss does not feel really threatening, but it has its creativity to it. High C tier. For this one, you have to ground pound it 3 times at the right time as it's flying across the arena. Bugaboom does toss bombs, but they're not much of a threat since you can just fly over them. The fight cleverly uses the bee mushroom because it's really the only way to fly high enough to land a hit. My main issue is that the first 2 hits are just super easy, while the 3rd hit does become a little trickier, which I actually enjoy. Bugaboom speeds up and becomes harder to ground pound on. I just wish that the level of difficulty was consistent throughout. High C tier. Now we're getting into the good bosses. This one is definitely the grossest since you have to hit certain parts of its slimy body. I like the mechanic where you launch yourself to deal damage. It's really fun. My only gripe is that it's basically a 2D boss. You can only move left or right. And I find bosses more engaging when I can move in all directions. Still, it is a pretty solid boss. Low B tier. I love that they gave a fresh design to a Kamek style boss. They didn't just make Kamek larger, they gave this Kamek a specific, distinct look. This is a pretty solid battle. I enjoy how Camilla spawns extra Kameks, launches magic fireballs at you, and throws shells that you use against her. It's easy to miss as she's like teleporting all over the place. So you have to time your throws at the perfect time. The highlight is the second encounter on the ghost ship where the arena gets smaller as you're climbing up. And the challenge does kind of ramp up as the arena is smaller. My only issue is that the pacing can feel pretty darn slow. It kind of feels like it plays as a waiting game. Still a pretty good boss, B tier. The gimmick here is definitely one of the most innovative ones. You have to hit back the coconuts, and each time he's hit, you have to volley it more. You need to time your spin attack and anticipate where the coconut will go while dodging a bunch of fireballs. It's fairly easy because it is one of the first bosses you encounter, but it does get more intense as it goes on. I don't really have any complaints, it's just a fun boss. It's ranked here because the other bosses are just way better in my opinion. High B tier. The very first boss in the game, and it is so iconic. I know it's at number 9, but that just shows how strong the boss roster is in Galaxy. It's a very simple boss once you understand it, but the way it's executed is excellent. One of the core mechanics of Galaxy is running around planets. And it's perfectly captured here. You're chased by a huge creature while circling on a small planet, and you need to smack its tail to do damage. It mixes in timing mechanics while cool platforming. One of the best opening bosses in any game, hands down. Easy A tier. This and Dino Piranha are pretty interchangeable for me, but I place Major Burrows higher because he is tougher to defeat. Again, you're running around a planet, but you need to time your ground pounds to stun him and follow up with a spin attack. I love bosses that rely on timing, and this one nails it. Plus, he even fakes you out and goes full rage mode. I know Bugaboom had timed ground pounds too, but this one's better executed because you're actually being chased while Bugaboom just floats around the arena. And if you mess up, you will take damage. While messing up on Bugaboom, you probably can easily avoid taking damage. A tier. This fight is a lot like Camilla's, where you throw shells, but this time it's on an airship. It's a much better fight though. You need to hit Bowser Jr. multiple times in order to fully defeat him. And there are more threats than just fireballs, like 3 bullet bills charging you at once. Bowser Jr. also changes the airship's position, which can throw you off if you are not careful. I wish it were a little more difficult and had more suspense to it, since it's meant to be a big boss battle because it's at the end of like a world. So it does feel like a step down from Megaleg, but still, it's a pretty solid showdown. A tier. This fight is downright creepy. You throw shells at Kingpin as he swims around the planet, and it's easy to miss if you're not careful. Plus, those fish bone enemies are constantly chasing you. What makes this boss stand out is the atmosphere. I love the eerie design, the underwater setting, and the fact that it's not just a 3-hit boss. I usually dislike underwater levels due to the sluggish controls, but carrying the shell mostly fixes that. I would have even ranked it higher if Kingpin actually like chased you in some sequences maybe, because he does just swim around, but that's a small complaint. High A tier. This fight improves on the original in every way. The first version was fun, but like I said, it was too easy. This one adds sinking platforms, invincible blue flame enemies, and more coconuts to track. You have to dodge all that while still focusing on your timing as the coconuts come. This is one of the few rematches that actually adds difficulty to it, complexity, and creativity compared to the other rematches. An excellent upgrade. A tier. I just love this boss's design. You climb on it as part of the battle, making it feel like a level and boss fight combined. The main mechanic is using bullet bills to blow up certain walls. Once again, it's not your typical 3-hit or shell throw boss. It has more depth to it. It feels cinematic and incredibly satisfying to beat. It's not too hard, but for a first end of world boss, it's executed perfectly. High A tier. This one takes an already memorable, iconic boss and cranks it up. It adds difficulty and makes the fight much more engaging. You still spin attack the tail, but now you have to deal with the flames. The fireballs come quickly and timing does get pretty tight if you are not careful. The boss adds a second layer of challenge. You're still running around a planet, but now flames are flying everywhere. It takes a great concept and makes it even better. S tier. Like Kingpin, this boss has a spooky tone. It's a mass of rocks guarding a ghost inside, which is an amazing creative design. You have to dodge falling rocks, spikes coming from the ground, and later his massive hands. Those hands have their own attacks and can be hard to dodge. In order to defeat him, you need to use the black blues to break his armor, then hit the exposed ghost. It's fast-paced, full of hazards, and uniquely designed. Bosses with creative mechanics and unique patterns that stand out among the rest are always the best in my opinion, and Boulder Guys is no exception. S tier. The finale of this game was absolutely wild. The suspense it builds is masterful. It feels like a real cosmic journey, and the payoff is incredible. While Bowser has multiple battles, I'm only covering the final one here. I'm so glad this fight breaks away from the typical hit the switch formula. This one feels like a real 1v1 match. Bowser has tons of moves, shockwaves, ground pounds, rolling attacks, and even spin moves mirroring your own abilities. And it's not just a 3-hit fight either. You battle across multiple planets, adding a sense of progression and increasing challenge. Beating Bowser feels earned. The ending is also super cinematic, which is rare for a Mario game. Straight to S tier, easily the best Bowser battle ever. That's gonna wrap it up for today's video. Let me know your ranking down in the comments. Next week, I'll be ranking bosses from Super Mario Galaxy 2, so subscribe and hit that notification bell. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!